is what the title of the room says. Is salvation possible by using jihad? Okay, and he quoted Surah Muhammad verse 4. Okay. Now, I'm going to answer this question. I'm going to refute it. 1 second, Coptic, if you don't mind. Is in the Islamic paradigm, right? In the Islamic paradigm, there's different ways to reach paradise. Okay, whether it's through fasting or praying a lot, qiraat Quran, all of these things. Okay, we're not necessarily denying that if you're killed in the path of God, whether you're in the battlefield or you're being killed for your belief, both of these are a path to paradise. They make you a shaheed. Okay, but you're painting the picture right now, brother Coptic, that it's going into the battlefield and chopping people to pieces. That this eye is in reference to.
I didn't say that, brother Uzair. I didn't say that. Did you hear me say that? I didn't say that.
What did
So
you say?
let me ask you the question. What does sabilillah mean? You said وَالَّذِينَ قُتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. And be careful here because I'm going to get you a verse in the Quran what it says what sabilillah means. So what does sabilillah, those who died for sabilillah, what does your interpretation of sabilillah means for them to die? What is your definition of that? What do people have to do to die fi sabilillah?
I gave an example already in Surah Al-Ankabut. When you're being killed, for example, by the mushrikeen in Mecca, when the Muslimin they had no
Why would the
power.
mushrikeen kill the Muslims for no reason? كده?
No, 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 of course, because they brought the risala, la ilaha illallah, not
For
ilaha illa Yasu'a. You know?
well, I know you read my profile picture. You know, when he said "La ilaha illa Yasu'a al-Masih," that's my Arabic. That's my Arabic biography. It just says there is no God but Jesus Christ. That's my Arabic thing. And I'm not trying to tease you, Ozera. Trust me. I mean, I say La ilaha illallah. I can say that. There's nothing wrong with that because there is no God but God, but Allah. That's fine. But my Allah, His name is Jesus Christ. So that's why I just substituted with Allah with Jesus Christ. So that's me, but what I wanted to tell you, Ozair, was this, right? Sabilillah, qatilu fi sabilillah. This is the other verse that I'm about to give you. So qatilu fi sabilillah. All right. So sabilillah is an expression used when Muhammad and companions went to either defend Islam or attack, do a ghazwa to lodge Islam. It's called sabilillah. Okay, that's the expression. If you ask anybody, and you know very well as well, that when you say sabilillah, it means the struggle or do it for Allah and His apostle. خلاص? So when we say jihad fi sabilillah walazina kutilu fi sabilillah, it means those who died in war or in battle with whoever, it doesn't matter who, it could be Christians, Jews, Mushrikeen, it doesn't matter. You will basically be gained paradise. Okay? So that is something where Ozair, with all due respect to yourself, I've got a little bit of a problem with because I'm being encouraged to go to war to go to heaven. Okay? Now, I don't have another religion at the moment in the world, not Jews and not the Christians, that has a verse in the Bible that says, go to war and you will die in war and then you'll be in heaven. I don't have something like that in our books. And that's why we're discussing today some of the concepts. Now, the other verse that I want to give you to tie it all together, my brother, there, and we're here to, this is just an open discussion, and you've got your opinion and we've got ours. We can agree to disagree. Okay, we're not here to say, oh, no, you're a kafir, you're a murtad, you're this. Oh, I'm going to. No, man. No, no, no. I know that no matter what we say, a minority of people might be persuaded, and some. You know what I'm saying? So what the other verse is? I think it's Surah Al-Shara, verse 14, but I'm not sure. My memory is very, very bad today because I haven't had a lot of sleep. But I think I'm gonna get you the one how it says, "When you kill and be killed, you guaranteed paradise."
Right.
And it says it. It says it very clearly. But I just, as I said, you gotta give me 1 second. Sorry,
Okay,
sorry,
inshallah.
guys.
Why you're pulling
If
it up
somebody
if you
just
don't?
wants to take over, yeah, if somebody just wants to take over, because I am trying to find it until we can.
Yeah, why you're pulling it up if you don't mind? You brought our focus, you brought our attention to Sabilillah, this phrase in the ayah. And please interrupt me if I'm wrong, Coptic. But you made a claim that Sabilillah in the Quran, it means يعني military warfare, whether it's offensive or defensive in the Quran. But I'm actually going to call bull on that because I can bring you an ayah now, okay? For example, Surah An-Nisa, same chapter I think you quoted, I'm not sure, or one of the verses you quoted is from Surah An-Nisa, verse 100. And I'm going to read the English. It says, I've got a very old translation, but please do forgive me. It says, he who forsakes his home in the cause of Allah. And it says, وَمَنْ يُهَاجِرْ, okay, fi sabilillah. So
So
hijrah,
are you hijring? Why are you hijring, my friend Uzair? Why is hijrah there? Yani what? طيب ماشي, I agree with you when you said whoever hajr في سبيل الله. طيب, when they left hijrah, when they left Ethiopia, okay, Al-Habasha, okay, and they went back to Mecca, what did they do?
okay. I can give you the verse that actually answers this directly. If you go to Surah Al-Hadid, it says, I'll bring you the exact verse. It says, لِلْفُقَرَاءِ الْمُهَاجِرِينَ الَّذِينَ أُخْرِجُوا مِنْ دِيَارِهِمْ وَأَمْوَالِهِمْ يَبْتَغُونَ فَضْلًا مِنَ اللَّهِ وَرِضْوَانًا.
طيب
أيوه.
ماشي,
It says,
but, but hang on a second, Habib Uzair. What you just said to me is that they left out of the poor hijrah, they left their homes and they left their towns, and they did it out of God's in English, like his happiness and stuff. I don't understand how that makes any point. What I'm trying to say to you is when the hijrah, when the Muslims left hijrah, they were lodging offensive wars. So what that Risala says in the tafsir, and let me translate it to my English speaking people, because I think it's me and Ozera having an Arabic discussion here when the room is in English. Okay, so we're talking about here. We're saying that the cause of Allah, Sabilillah, cause of Allah. I came to Ozera and I said to him, the main or the main definition of cause of Allah is war. Okay, or if and that comes in all three ways: offensive jihad, defensive jihad, whether you're killed in defense, whether you're killed in offensive, that's the cause of Allah. Then he came to me and he said to me, well, hang on a second. There's other verses that says when you migrate, when you leave your house in the cause of Allah. So listen carefully. So the verse says that people migrated in the cause of Allah. Okay. Then he said to me, well, when they migrated in the cause of Allah, that means that there's poor migration. Poor people left their homes and houses in the cause of Allah. So where are you, Coptic, bringing the definition that the cause of Allah is war? Then I said to him, okay, but when they left their homes in the cause of Allah, what did they do after they migrated their homes? And the answer to the question was to go into battle. Okay, so they didn't migrate because they were unhappy where they were. Of course, they did hijrah when Quraysh originally disregarded Muhammad and they didn't believe in his
Brother,
prophecy.
brother
So
Coptic,
that's
sorry to interrupt in the middle, but to what you have said, I am understanding, if I'm understanding it correctly, there was
oh,
a lady in our
sorry,
part of
I'm
the
getting a
world,
call. Give me one
and
minute.
okay, okay, brother. So there was a lady in our part of the world. Her name was Sonia Sebastian. She was, living a comfortable life. She was an engineer, and she was a Christian. But then she had doubts about Christianity and so on. And she went to a guy, a person, Imam's college, Imam Akbar's college, and then she accepted Islam. So finally, she understood that, to get heaven in Islam, she did hijrah and she went to Afghanistan as a wife of one of the Taliban, ISIS fighter. That guy got killed. So we did a whole session in Adam's channel, but the husband got killed, and she and a small daughter is still stuck in Islam, still stuck in Afghanistan because they did hijrah. So I think if I am understanding it correctly, she went there because she wanted to support her husband who was going for jihad as to fight. So I just wanted to, it just came to my mind, so I just wanted to bring that point.
If you don't mind, brother Coptic, I'd like to make a quick comment on your response to the ayah that I quoted. Now, we do all agree, because it's talking about the Muhajirin, right? And we know, even from the Seerah, the Quran, generally speaking, it's those who came from Mecca, they went to Medina. Now, awalan, all the sources of Seerah, whatever you want to take, all of them agree that there were a small community of Muslim people who became Muslim in Medina, and they invited the Prophet to come. They invited the Prophet to come to Medina. Fine, we have that to agree with and work with. Now, the people who went there, they're seeking the bounty and the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal. Why? Because they're following the Prophet. They're not going there to chop people's heads off and just butcher the entire land. La 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 la. This is false, akhi. They went there, okay, because the Prophet was invited there. He went there, and they're following him, and they're seeking the pleasure of God through his Prophet. This is what every source of seerah, where even if you're taking shreds of evidences through the compilations of ahadith or anything, all of them agree across the board. This is why they did hijrah. It
So,
wasn't
so
because they're trying to
is
keep
there correct my understanding? Correct my understanding. What is the word, the definition, if you can please translate it to our English brothers and sisters in this room? What does the word ghazwa mean?
You do it, akhi, you do it.
No, no, please take control. What
No,
does
no,
the
it's
word
your room, akhi. I
ghazwa?
shouldn't be dealing. You do it.
Habibi, please. And I want you, look, you want to know what I want, Azir? I want you to be Christian in the end of the day. Okay, so I want to give you the respect. Ghazwa, ghazwa. When we say ghazwa, it means when America, for example, Azir, went and invaded Iraq for no reason, just to take their oil or whatever cause it is. And all my American friends don't get upset at me because I don't care. I'm against any invasion or anything like that. The Muslims called what America has done غزوة العراق. Okay, الأمريكان غزوا العراق. All right, America invaded, and when you invade, you take everything what the other person has to yourself. So they went and took the oil, they took everything in Iraq for themselves. We saw what they did to Saddam Hussein, which I personally love him, but I don't know what anyone else says, and I don't care either. However, what I'm saying to you is Muhammad had 29 ghazawat, 29 occasions where he went to other countries or tribes or towns, invaded them, and took a fifth of the booty for himself. And you know what every verse says, Habibi Uzair? Fi sabilillah. All right? That's what the verses say. Fi sabilillah. Every time there was a ghazwa, they say fi sabilillah. So when we come along and you're correct at what you're saying, and I didn't refute what you said, and I didn't deny what you said, that at one time when Muhammad went to Mecca and they migrated to Medina, he he didn't have the right, the people rejected him in Mecca, and they left Mecca and they went to Medina through an invite or through not an invite. That's fine. I agree with you. And they went back to Medina. Now, I didn't say anything about Hijrah here. But what happened after that was here? What happened when they left Mecca and they went to Medina? What did Muhammad do? He formed an army in Medina. Okay, this is what the Sirat ibn Ishaq wa ibn Hisham say. He formed an army, then went on an offensive jihad on 29. And I'll quote Sahih al-Bukhari, أتيتكم بالذبح. That's one. I came to slaughter you. This is Muhammad's terms. not mine. I swear to you, I'm not lying. Please look it up. Okay, I came to slaughter you. The other hadith that says in Sahih al-Bukhari, he says what? Umirtu an uqatil. I was ordered to fight and kill until they say La ilaha illallah Muhammad kaza kaza kaza. And if they and so on, if they say the shahada and they pray and they pay the zakat, their blood won't be like spilt. Not my words. Not my words. As a Christian, Uzair, as a Christian, when we discuss verses like this, and especially the verse that I'm going to give you because I'm driving, it says, وَيُقْتِلُونَ وَقُتِلُوا وَيُقْتِلُونَ وَقُتِلُوا في سبيل الله. Those who kill, yani, listen to the question. Those who kill and be killed, and those be killed and kill. I want to ask the question, how can someone be killed and after they've been killed, they can kill people? There's only one way. Now, I'm not going to say what that way is. So I'm dead now, but after when I die, how can I kill other people? And that's where the suicide bombers come from. Okay, and that's where ISIS has taken. I agree with you. No, hang on a second. I agree with you that the majority of Muslims reject the definition of the verse that ISIS has taken. I accept that. I'm not the one here that will tell you, Uzair, you have to believe in the definition that this is the case. But I'm telling you where ISIS got it from. I'm telling you where Taliban got it from. I'm telling you where Boko Haram got it from. Okay, all the suicide bombers that go blow up churches and blow up mosques, they came back. Uzair, and took it from a Quranic verse. And that's where they took it from. How can I die and after when I'm dead, I end up killing people? Okay, so that's what the verse says. So when I come along and we talk about jihad getting salvation, when I have verses that encourage me to have jihad, my prophet went on 29 invasions, and then after that, I say the reward is heaven. That's the topic today. That we're saying the only religion on earth at the moment, I could be wrong, okay, out of the three religions, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, not one faith, Uzair, not one faith believes salvation through offensive jihad, okay, or even defensive jihad. You know, us in the Bible, when Peter took up his sword and he was defending Christ, and he went and he used his sword and he cut the soldier's ear, Jesus could have said, keep going, defend me. What did Jesus say? He who takes his life alive with the sword will die by the sword. He who fights with the sword will perish by the sword. Put your sword back. That's what he said to you. So we don't have defensive jihad in Christianity. We don't have that. And any Christian that says we've got defensive jihad, I'm sorry, I need the verse that says that. Okay, in the New Testament. So Jesus himself said, put your sword back. When someone hits you on one cheek, give him the other. Love your enemies. Is that offensive jihad? No. Is that defensive jihad? No. So what is jihad in Christianity? We do have jihad. Okay? We have jihad in Christianity, and it's called the struggle against Satan. So every single day in the world, we're confronted with temptations. And that's why the Bible says to us, fight the devil and he'll flee from you. We fight against principalities and spiritual beings, not just human beings. That's our jihad. That we need to struggle to fight against Satan on earth as God's children in order to reach heaven. But nobody's going to come and convince me to go kill the infidels or the kuffar, and when I do that, I'm going to go to Jannah. And that's what the topic of today's room is. If somebody wants to take the mic because I don't want to hog it, and I don't want people to lose interest. So I won't be speaking just for a little bit.
Okay, thank you, brother Kartik. So yeah, I think you have stated the point why we have put this title because yeah, Uzair, you had something to say. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, no. I wanted to ask Coptic a question actually because I do disagree with the way he defined jihad in Christianity. What's Jesus gonna do in his second coming? Is he gonna come me as a disbeliever? He's gonna kiss me on the forehead and we're gonna hold hands and we're gonna run into the
Beautiful
sunset.
question, Ozair. Beautiful question. Keep going.
Yeah. He's gonna come, okay, as the Bible said, it will be nothing but blood and butcher and destroying entire nations. It will just come and wipe them out completely, like they never existed. So I do think, and of course, you have the messages we agree upon, we as Muslims and Christians agree upon, examples that we do take from in some matters. For example, like Moses, was he sitting around when God's commanding him to kill the Amalekites and all of these things? Of course not. Of course, there is a offensive and defensive war in Christianity and Islam. Whether Jesus did it or not is a different thing. But the prophets of old, they did it. So you can't have one criteria for Moses. He gets in, and then Muhammad, nope, stop, he can't get in. I
I
think
agree. I agree,
you're being a
Ozair.
bit inconsistent, Habibi. تفضل,
I,
تفضل.
I agree. And let me answer about the Old Testament and Moses. So, Ozair, we have to compare an apple with an apple, right? So, if I come to you and you said it exactly the way you said it now, you said to me, if that, if Muhammad can do this and your Moses or your this did this, and you disagree with Muhammad but you agree with Moses, that means you're a hypocrite. And I agree, 100%. I would never say otherwise. So let's compare an apple with an apple, and let's see if that's true. First of all, one verse from the Torah, from the Old Testament, that says God ordered the people of Israel or any prophet to go invade a country, okay, to invade a country in the name of Judaism and to fight the disbelievers so that way they can become Jewish or believe in the Israeli God. One war. All I want is one war that said go into another country in the name of the Israeli God and for everybody to become Jewish or become, so they can say the La ilaha illallah Muhammad Kaza in the Jewish times. So get me one war that one prophet has done in the name of God to make people Jews. That's A. You won't find any, okay? Because that's never, ever, ever happened by any other prophet in the Old Testament, okay? Ever. So what happened when the people of Israel were there? There were a lot of most of the wars, almost all the wars were defensive wars. So when somebody came to attack them, they were defensive. However, God didn't tell them to defend themselves with the sword. This is what He said. Okay, He said in Exodus that when another army comes up to you, first speak with them. So first, don't attack them. He didn't say go kill them and go destroy them. There were rules. He said go talk to them. Okay, and then after when you talk to them, if they do not agree with you, so if they do not agree with you, come to an agreement with them. Come to an agreement with them. In other words, try to negotiate to settle the peace. And then if they attack you, that's when you can defend yourself. Okay? So most of the people of Israel, when the whole Gentiles were non-believers in the one true God, and they were all mushrikeen except the people of Israel who believed in the one true God, and were attacking the people of Israel discriminately. Then we come to the story that you've mentioned, how God told Moses, go get I don't know how to say it in English. Is it the Amalekites, I think? And kill every
Amalekites.
man. Amalekites, yes, that's right. Go kill Amalekites, the man, the woman, the child, the camel, the tree, the sheep, and etc. etc. In that same book, I want you to read earlier on, okay, in, I think it's chapter 19 or chapter 1, I'm not sure. So what happened was, when the people of Israel disobeyed God, and they didn't, when the Jews, I should say, I don't want to say Jews because I don't want to insult anyone, but when the people of Israel disobeyed God and they left God, so God didn't leave them, but they left God, the people, the enemies, the Amalekites, or whatever in English expression they're called, came, demolished the people of Israel, raped their women, killed them, slaughtered every man, woman, and child, sheep, camel, everything. Okay, that's earlier on. So the people of Israel didn't do it. The Amalekites did it first. Okay, and when they went and they did all that to the people of Israel started praying to God, started screaming to God, saying, Ya Rab, please God, save us. They ran back to God, asking him for help. Then, out of God's justice, as he said in the New Testament, if you do to others what you would like to be done to yourself, okay? And the opposite is true. From what you measure, from what you do to others, people will do it back to you, okay? So God's justice, when he saw a nation coming to his people, doing all these things and more to them, God allowed the Israelis to do what has been done to them to the Amalekites in order to have pure justice. He can't let the Amalekites get away with what they've done. He can't just turn a blind eye and say, look, that's okay, you destroyed my children, you raped their women, you killed them all, happy day, good luck to you, thank you very much. God doesn't do that. God is a God of justice. Because they've harmed his children and they've taken control of his people and they've enslaved his people, God himself balanced the balance and allowed the people of Israelis to do what the Amalekites did to them, to do it back to them, and therefore now the debt has been paid. Okay, God doesn't live in debt. Okay, the debt has been paid. So now we take that stories and we explain it in the Islamic perspective. Muhammad in the Quran, when the people were attacking the Muslims or they were fighting the Muslims, come back to me and tell me this is true because the Muslim can defend themselves. And I'll agree. I'm not saying I'm going to disagree with you, Uzair, at all. It's called defensive jihad. Somebody attacked your country, you're going to respond. It's common sense. Okay? And we can't say all the countries are allowed to do it except the Muslims. Okay? Now we're hypocrites. So I agree with you. However, I don't agree with a Muslim army invading, just like I don't agree with America invading Iraq. I don't agree with the French invading Algeria. Okay, I don't agree in that. But I can't agree that the Islamic armies can march into a Christian country like Spain and Portugal, or Egypt, or Syria, or Iraq, and force people to convert into Islam, otherwise they die. قاتلوا الذين لا يؤمنون بالله ولا اليوم الآخر من الذين أوتوا الكتاب وهم يدفعوا الجزية وهم صاغرون. That's غزو. That's غزو. So that's why, as a Christian, Ozair, as a Christian, I can't believe in Islam. Because I believe, I'm not telling you that every Muslim goes and starts chopping heads off and the whole world now should be headless chickens. I never said that to you. But what I'm saying to you is we're discussing scripture to scripture. We're talking about what each scripture says and what people will follow. In the New Testament, we don't have a verse in the Bible that Jesus said, "Oh, Christians, go attack the non-believers and baptize them in the name of the Father and the Son and Holy Spirit. If they disagree, kill them. If they disagree, make them pay a tax for you." We don't have that. And thank you.
I'd like to comment on what he said because at the beginning of his statement, he asked me to bring me a verse from the Bible where it says that you go in there and you kill them for their beliefs or something like this,
To
like in the
convert
Islamic
them,
paradigm.
to convert them, to
Anyway,
convert
Brother
them.
Hussein, we understand that, but you are talking to Christians. You are not talking to Jews. Okay?
okay, let me bring the verse first because he asked me to bring it. I'll bring it. Where it says, for the God that they worship, by the way, this is Exodus chapter 22.
Yeah,
Says, whoever sacrifices to any god, okay, other than the Lord, must be destroyed. You bring
yeah.
another verse in the Bible,
Hang on a
okay?
second.
Let me
That verse, Ozer was for the Jews, and I agree with it. So when he
ha,
said that, hang on a second. He said that to the Jews, didn't he? To his people, or who did he say it to?
he said it to the Jews.
Correct, right? So God made a rule with them. If you worship another god, you die. What's the issue?
Hey, okay. So this entire thing, I didn't even believe. We as Muslims, we don't believe because these ISIS Khawarij, okay, these dogs, they have no asl in Islam. Yeah, and they can't bring any. But that's the difference. I don't even want to discuss that. The point we're trying to say is, even if I concede that Muslims we believe that, okay, you as a Christian, you're okay at one point, not today, not at the time of Jesus, but at one point, the Lord Himself commanded that you kill other people for their beliefs. Sah wala la?
Can I answer you, Uzair, Habibi? I'll
Please,
answer you.
please.
I'll answer you, Habibi. So when God gave the Sharia, He didn't give it to the whole mankind. He gave it to the Jews. Okay? He gave it to the Jews. The Jews were a minority in the world that believed in Allah. Okay? So the Jews were the only people. So you as a Muslim, masalan, I'll give you a very easy, masalan, yani. I'll give you a very easy example so you understand how that works. You as a Muslim had a little child. This child is, let's say, 5 years old. Okay? Your child comes near the oven or the stove, and he wants to touch the stove and it's hot. You're gonna say to your child, "Listen, son, don't you dare come near the oven, because if you touch the oven, you're gonna be burnt." Your child doesn't understand you. What does he do? Or he understands you, but he wants to do it anyway. He's a little child. So what does he do? He goes, touches the stove in front of you, and then he gets burnt. He starts to cry. What would you do? You're going to yell at him. You're going to slap his wrist and say, "Don't do it again. Didn't I tell you, don't do it again? Because if you do it again, you're going to hurt yourself." And you slap his wrist. Then the child comes along and he grows up older. He becomes more mature. He understands that if I touch, I'm going to get burnt. So then he doesn't touch the stove. Okay? So then you're not going to go hit him. You're not going to go abuse him. Okay? You're not going to go punish him because he's mature now for him not to realize. So can I come up to you then and I say, "Ozer, as a father, I don't agree that you disciplined your son for touching the stove when he was 5 years old"? Of course not. I'll tell you, I agree with you that you've disciplined your child when he was 5 years old of touching the stove because you loved him. You didn't want him to hurt himself. Same thing with the Bible. So when God gave the Sharia to the Jews and he said to them, anyone that worships this, anyone that does this, anyone that does this, it was out of love so they don't forget about him and they don't worship another God, and then God loses the whole entire human race. So if you asked me now, was that the right thing for God to do? Billion percent. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the Torah, you wouldn't have the Injil, and you wouldn't obviously have your Quran, which assures the scriptures beforehand. And then all of us now on earth would be damned to hell. No prophets would have came. No one would have done anything because we would have been all mushrikeen, kuffar, before, if God did it, wasn't strict on Bani Israel. And when you ask yourself the question, Uzair, every single prophet in your Quran came from Bani Israel. The only one that came from the Arab was Muhammad. Everybody else came from the people of Israel.
That's not true. There's plenty of prophets that are not
Name me
from
one.
Bani Israel.
Name me one.
Okay, I can give you three
Shuaib,
actually. Forget one.
Shuaib,
Name me three.
Okay,
maybe
Hud.
okay.
Okay,
Shuaib,
Saleh,
Hud, Saleh.
Shu'aib. أيوة أيوة صح.
Shuaib, Hud, Saleh.
All three of them are in Surah Shu'ara, chapter 26.
All of them. It's not. It doesn't need a lot of thinking.
I wanna
Hud,
ask you
Shuaib, and
something.
Saleh. Besides Muhammad.
1 minute, Brother Abdiel, you would have to please mute your mic. Coptic and Uzair are having a discussion. Please, I request you don't open your mic. Thank you.
Okay, let's bring it back to the topic, inshallah ta'ala. Now, mashallah, we received a nice, good points from our good friend Coptic. The time period, the situation it was done, all of these things, and you're behind it for that time period, for that situation, and you gave the factors. Okay, fine. We as Muslims, Aslan, we don't even believe in this. Ya akhi, you know this. The mainstream Muslims, we don't believe that you can kick a door down of a Christian family and just blow them all up and blow yourself up. Never. And we condemn it every time it happens. In fact, I'll give you an example. These ISIS Khawarij, they're actually killing more people who are Muslim in Syria than any other group, not Shia, not the minority of Christians, anything. Their primary target is Muslim because they see them as apostates, murtadun, and they butcher them all. But anyways, I don't want to go down that path. But all I'm saying is that from your perspective, brother Coptic, you gave good points as to why at that time period it was okay for the Lord to command that. Now, from your perspective, I agree that's your view. But we as Muslims, we could equally turn around and give our reasonings, or not me, astaghfirullah. Khawarij, these terrorists can easily turn around and say, well, Allah Azza wa Jal, He commanded it because A, B, C, D. The other side, the terrorists, they can give their reasons as well. Do you get, akhi? So, if you bring in these factors, the terrorists can bring their own factors in that dictate that, okay, we can come and we can kill and we can do these just as Moses did. Awala. And more importantly, that I wanted to say is that because you mentioned the prophets and all of these things not being Arab and all of these things in the Quran, all of them, whether you like it or not, you do accept this because I give the example of Surah Shu'ara because it's this, they repeat the same thing that every messenger they say, فَقَالَ يَا قَوْمِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مَا لَكُم مِّنْ إِلَهٍ غَيْرُهُ. O my people, worship God. What other deity is there better for you? All the time, that's their message. That's all Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam brought. He brought that same message. But and the fact of the matter is, if Moses can come in and the Lord commands him to butcher these people, okay, he commands them. And I was going to quote another verse that says, "Kill everything that breathes." Complete destruction. It's not even just the people, it's the plants, because plants they breathe in CO2. So this complete destruction, Muhammad can also do defensive jihad. Because if you read even secular sources on the Battle of Badr, for example, it was Abu Jahl who started it. And he ended up in the well and he died. Okay? He was the one who started the battle. If Moses can come in and kill people for the gods they sacrifice to, Muhammad can come and defend himself. Muhammad could even do otherwise. تفضل أخي. I see you're
Thank you, Ozair. Ozair, look, I explained to you at the start. You said to me And I did spend a lot of time explaining to you the justice of God when it came to Moses and what actually happened. You can't just ignore what I said and the explanation that I said and straight away say Moses was ordered to go kill people. Okay? Because Moses didn't do it to have a fifth of the booty to himself. He didn't do it to try to preach Judaism or get people to convert into Judaism, okay, or become Jewish. He didn't do it to make Jews the religion of the world, okay? It was what I said to you was, you said to me, if Moses did that, then it's okay for Muhammad to do that. But Muhammad did it to have a fifth of the booty for himself. He said, I make my money underneath my arrow, my bow. Risky تحت ظل رمحي. In Arabic, risky تحت ظل رمحي. Okay, so I went, there's a difference between someone, and I made it very clear, someone that goes invades another country like America did to Iraq to get their oil, and like what Muhammad went to other tribes and countries to make more booty for himself. Then for Moses, when he went to invade, God told him, you're not allowed to take anything that belongs to someone else. So you can't, when he killed all the sheep and camels, why didn't he take it for himself? Why, is the camel going to hurt Moses? Is the sheep going to attack Moses, for example? But when Moses killed everything that breathes, is because God didn't want the people of Israel to take something they didn't work for. They didn't work from the sweat of their forehead to earn someone else's cattle. It's called theft. But in your religion, in Islam, Muhammad, when he invaded other countries, and I quote the Quran, a fifth of the booty belongs to the Prophet. Okay, so you can't compare, as I said at the start, you got to compare an apple with an apple. You can't say, I'll make the orange into an apple so I can compare it with my apple. Okay, so you know what I mean? So I just want to let you know that that's the side viewpoint, and I explained to you the history, but with your history, for example, in Khaybar, okay, and I'll give you a very, 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 very quick example. When Muhammad entered Khaybar and he killed 1,000 Jews with his sword, himself personally beheaded 1,000 Jews. And after killing in another battle, Safiya's family, okay, her dad, he killed him 2 years ago, and then after that, he killed her brothers, her whole entire family, and then he took her as a wife. Let me ask you something, Jose. Would you marry someone that killed your whole family and have sexual intercourse with when they've killed your dad, your mom, your sisters, your brother? Would you be happy to have sex with someone like that normally out of your own will? Is that logical to you as a Muslim, that when Muhammad does this, that's okay for you? That's not, Moses didn't do that. Okay, Moses didn't do that in the Old Testament. Does that sound, is there a question mark here, or is there that you might ask yourself, or not?
Okay. Now, first, because we brought up Banu Qurayza, we're going to do this step by step, inshallah ta'ala. If you're going to, first, I want to actually address your point that Rasulullah, he took all of the money and Moses didn't. Moses destroyed it all. But we're going to do that first, and I'm going to do your other point. The one with Moses, okay, first and foremost, we have clear narrations that Rasulullah, he lived a very, very poor life. I can give you narrations in Riyadh al-Salihin and many other books, Sahihain. You know they're there. You know they're there. That
Yes,
he
I know
lived a
they're there.
very
He
poor.
used to tie a belt around his waist with a rock. I understand all those hadiths, and That was when he was in Mecca, and for 13 years, Uzair, he was,
لا come on. Coptic, this was in Khandaq, يا أخي. You know it was in Khandaq. Don't play games. But anyways, the point I wanted to make, okay, because the narration of I don't want to go down the Khandaq route, but it was in Khandaq. The point I was trying to make is that Rasulullah, when he got, because it says وَلِلَّهِ خُمْسٌ وَلِرَسُولِ and all of the, so on and so forth, إلى آخر الآية, that the a fifth is to Allah and His Messenger and the poor people and the travelers and all of these things, okay? Rasulullah, he didn't sit on that fifth. And he, mashallah, he built a palace in Medina and he's sitting there with a throne and he's got all of these yani lavish stuff around him. La. He gave them out to his family, he gave them out to the people. And this is why these narrations are there. Not, it wasn't in Mecca. It was also in Medina to the extent that when the narrations mention when Rasulullah passed away, you could count on one hand the things that the property that he left behind. It was next to nothing. Number two, the point about that you made about Banu Qurayza. Okay. Now, the main people that Rasulullah had conflict with, because there were like 10 sub tribes in Medina of the Yahud. The three was the one that Rasulullah had conflict with. Okay. The Nadir, Qaynuqa, and Banu Qurayza. All three of those. Okay. But the issue is the narrations tell us who the guy who actually gave the final verdict was. It wasn't Rasulullah. The first two people he fought was Banu Nadir, okay, and Banu Qaynuqa. And it tells us in Surah Al-Hashr and even the Ahadith, it says, هو الذي أخرج الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب من ديارهم لأول الحشر ما ظننتم أن يخرجوا إلى آخر الآية. And all of the tafasir say it was the first two tribes of the Yahud that Rasulullah gave the verdict. He said, get out, you go away. He didn't kill them. He said, pack up your stuff and leave. And it says that they destroyed their own houses and the Muslimin destroyed their stuff. They didn't take the stuff, exactly like Moses, where it says, Wallah, I forgot what the ayah said, but I can bring you in Surah Al-Hashr, that they destroyed their own houses and and the Muslimin destroyed them. Now, Banu Qurayza, it was actually Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas who gave the verdict. They asked for Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas. They came to Rasulullah. They said, look, we want Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas to give the verdict because they knew him in Medina. He grew up with them and they somewhat trusted him. But Sa'ad wasn't stupid because he knew what was in the Bible, the Moses, and they follow Moses. He knows what's in the Bible and what Moses did in the Bible. If they won that war, they would have wiped the Muslimin off the face of the earth like they didn't exist ever. So Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, he gave the order. It wasn't Rasulullah's order. And he turned to Rasulullah, he said, if I give the verdict, are you going to go disagree with anything? He said, no, you give it. Because the people, they asked for it. And he gave that based on, okay, and this is what the scholars exegete, because he knew what the Yahud believed in, the Jews believed in. Okay. Now, the ghanaim that was taken from there, Safiya, okay, was one of them. The narration mentions that the Sahaba actually wanted to take her, okay, and then she was brought to Rasulullah and all of these things. But you know that she waited the iddah period, and there was an explanation, and everything that happened was explained to her in the context on what they were planning on doing, and she, out of her own will, married Rasulullah. If you look at most non-Muslim, like Orientalists, they say maybe there was a political gain for her because now she's marrying the most powerful man in Medina, or one of the most powerful men in Medina, along with the other group of Jews. There's a political gain in it for her. Either she just becomes like a random slave who's just picking up stuff and all of these things, or she can marry the top dog. That's what they understand from it. You can take that for yallah, but everybody agrees across the board it was out of her own will. I think it's very unfair for you to say, or for you, I don't know if you did it on purpose or maybe I misunderstood what you're saying, but if you're trying to present it as if it just happened out of nowhere, not out of her own free will, la, I completely disagree with this. I completely disagree.
Uzair, there's a couple of things, right? So we need to go back to the, obviously, you're a Qur'ani, or do you believe in the hadiths as well and the tafsir?
I take a hadith. Tafasir aren't hujjah on any Muslim. They're dalil, but they're not hujjah. Do you know the difference, Akhi?
Of course, I know the difference, but I just want to
Aywa.
ask you because the situation is, Uzair, we meet Muslims that are different every day. We don't know anymore. There's Muslims that come up to you and they say, we believe in the Quran, we don't believe in any hadith, Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. Musnad Ahmad, we don't believe in any of that. We just believe Quran. We call them Quranis. Then there's Muslims that say we believe in the Hadith, we believe in the Quran, but we don't believe in the Tafsir because we believe that we know the Muslim scholars and we understand the Muslim scholars, and it's a lot better for us to be able to do it. And then you've got the Muslims that believe in Hadith and Quran, but they don't take any Tafsir as legitimate. Okay, so the reason why I'm telling you this is because I want you to read Tafsir ibn Kathir on Surah 8:41. Okay, Surah 8:41, and I want you to read what they say in the Tafsir and Qurtubi and Tabari. I want you to read Tafsir 8:41 and have a look at what happened with the money that that your prophet, the fifth of the booty, and what is done with the money. Okay, so that's one. Two, you can't convince Habibi Uzair anybody that when someone kills someone's family, and you're right. So with Safiya, what he did was when he was taking her back after conquering her town, and he killed the whole family, he asked her, he said to her two things. He said to her, "You either marry me, okay, you either marry me, or you go back and I'll leave you with the Sahaba in the place we just conquered." In other words, they're gonna take her and they're going to absolutely demolish her, and it's like me giving you a choice between jumping off a cliff or I don't know, or something else that you can do. Of course, you're gonna take the option where you're not gonna die, and you're not gonna get raped, and you're not gonna do anything. But deep, what I'm asking you is, deep inside her, when Muhammad went and his companions killed her whole family, her dad, mom, sisters, everything, do you believe, do you sincerely believe that she agreed for him to have sex with her or have the marriage relationship with her after he killed her whole family? Do you think she was like okay about that? Because I'll tell you something. If somebody came and killed my family, my parents, my sister, my brother, my mom and dad, and she wants to marry me after doing that to me and wants to have a normal relationship with me, are you serious? I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to be convinced as if nothing's happened? Of course not, Ozir. Of course not. No normal person in the world would accept to marry someone who's killed their family. Nobody with half a brain. Okay, whether they say yes or no, that's not the point. No one in the world would accept something like this. Okay, so as I said, Uzair, like I can give you about, and I'm not joking, like I can give you about 180 hadiths right now. Maybe not right now, I'm lying because I'm driving, but I can give you 180 hadiths, and you see what Muhammad did when he invaded tribes and how he treated the booty and who lodged war on who. And I want you to, when I give you all the references, I'm not going to tell you, like, this is what I think of them. But I would want to share with you privately, and I'll give you the references in a private message. And I want you to read them and then come back to me and tell me, no, hang on a second. This person was the one that started the war. Muhammad didn't do this. Muhammad didn't do that. But in the end of the day, it was there. The literature is there. If I'm bringing something out of my own understanding, you've got every right to come back to me and say you're making things up. But if I give you the references and I give you this, and then I come and ask you and I say, can you please explain to me your point of view? And I have to say, you're one of the least Muslims that attacked me today, so thank you for that. I think I've been sworn, I've got messages here or there from Muslims that threaten to kill me, threatened to kill other Coptic Christians, that they're going to find where I live, that they want to, all that because I'm sharing ideas. You know what I mean? I'm not scared of anything, but it's one of those things that kind of goes back to the teaching. You know, when someone criticizes Islam or they criticize the Prophet, straight away you get attacked. You know what I mean? Straight away. You can't have this point of view that you can share with others without having it going into violence and getting threatened to be, to get killed. You know what I mean? I'm not scared. I would love to die for my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And inshallah that day happens where somebody comes up to me or there and they say to me, say the Shahada. And I'll say, never. And they'll say the Shahada. And I'll say, okay, la ilaha illallah. They'll be like, no, that's not enough. You have to say Muhammad Kaza. I'll say, no. Then they'll kill me and I'll be like, Lord Jesus, thank you for me dying for the Shahada. You know, thank you for killing me for refusing to be Muslim. That's my dream. If you want to do that for me, please let me know where you are and I'll come to you, and please do that to me so I could go to heaven. Okay, but when I talk to you, Azair, we're talking from literature. And the ayah that says the fifth of the booty for Allah and His Prophet, what happened to the other 80%? The verse clearly says in Ibn Kathir that the 80% went to the orphans, went to the needy, went to the poor. So he said 20% will go to Allah and His Prophet. What happened to the other 80? You'll find that in the tafsir. So if the 80% was distributed on the poor, on needy, where's the other 20%? Is it just for the Prophet? Okay? And I ask you to kindly please look up the tafsir for that verse and you will exactly see what I can. Now, because I'm driving, guys, I don't even know if you can hear me. But Brother Nazreen, if you can take over the show because I need
We
to
can,
make a phone call to work,
yeah, brother, we
which is
can
really
hear you.
important. And and then that way I can join the conversation back as soon as I finish with work because
Sure, sure, no problem, brother. Go ahead, Uzair.
No, I was just gonna say that I have to go. It's getting a bit late here. I want to get some sleep. But I've received messages from a few brothers that want to come up and discuss. It's very late here. It's 11:45 right now, so I'm gonna have to go get